Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review, and today we're going to be looking at the Wurkkos TS23. This is a request from one of my subscribers. I ended up reaching out to Wurkkos, who were happy to send me a sample of the TS23 for this review. And the TS23 is what I would call a medium-sized flashlight. You know, it's around the same size as the Convoy M21B, except it does have a larger head. And yeah, probably not the most comfortable light to carry around in your jeans pocket. It can be done though. You know, I'd categorize this one as well as a tactical style light, just due to the tail switch and shortcut to turbo, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Wurkkos rate this one at 5,000 lumens and definitely packs a punch. You know, out of all those larger LEDs out there, there are a few. The XHP70.3 HI that's included in the TS23 is probably my favorite of the lot. It's got pretty much hits all three checkpoints in terms of high output, throwy beam, tons of flood, and on the lower modes as well, it's incredibly efficient. So it produces a ton of lumens for not that much power. So after using this light for a week, I've been quite pleased with it and the overall performance, but there are a few considerations that I think you need to be aware of, and I'll go through those also later in the video. So let's have a look at what's included. So of course you get the light itself. You do get a double-sided clip that came pre-attached to the light. Wurkkos include a 21700 cell, 5000 milliamp hour cell, so it's high capacity. It's interesting that the light only unscrews from the head. That seems to be the case with some of these E-switch designs. Maybe they just don't want you getting in there. This is the box. Okay, so yeah, pretty basic. There are some specifications here in the back if you want to pause the video here as well. So just show you what it looks like in the box. So yeah, pretty basic. The light is there. You do get some O-rings, spare O-rings, and a lanyard with the light. You also get a USB-C charging cable. I've got a million of these. Okay, so here is a little side-by-side comparison of the Wurkkos TS23 with a few other of my flashlights. You know, the closest comparison I would say is to the Convoy M21B. Okay, you can see that bezel is just a little bit larger on the TS23, which is going to make it more tricky to carry around in your pocket. It's even larger than the TA30C on my Nextorch TA30C. You've got my Nightcore P23i as well, lengthwise, and you know, in terms of circumference of the battery tube, pretty similar. But yeah, I mean, if you compare it to, say, this one here, this is the Convoy C8 Plus and the TS23. You're almost getting quite close, but you know, there's still, I'd say this is still pocketable if you really wanted to. The C8 Plus just gets a little bit past that point where I would feel comfortable carrying that around with me. Okay, here's a little close-up of the Wurkkos TS23. Solid construction. Machining is pretty decent quality, especially when you're looking at this price point, and they're using this deeper knurling here. It's not checkered knurling, it's kind of ringy and deep as well, so it does add a fair bit of grip. And you know, you do have some of these thermal cutouts as well on the head here. Very simple, you know, nothing out of the ordinary there. And yeah, the anodizing, I'd say somewhere between shiny and matte black. It does feel slippery. It does feel a little bit slippery, but it's good to know that this knurling here helps a fair bit. Get a single metal E-switch on the tail as well. Okay, it does require a firm press, and it is recessed as well, so it doesn't stick out the back, which means you can tail stand the light, which is always a good thing. There is also a battery indicator here on the side of the light. Okay, and interestingly, Wurkkos have moved the charging port to the rear of the light here. It's that same port that they're using on some of their other lights, which is much smaller now. Okay, USB-C port. And the seal does feel quite sturdy. Doesn't get in the way of the operation of the light. So having a look down the head here, you can see Wurkkos are using an XHP70.3 HI paired with an orange peel reflector glass lens. I think the orange peel reflector was a good choice here because you do get issues with focusing these larger LEDs. They produce donut holes if you're not careful. And Wurkkos is also using a regulated boost driver with the TS23 in order to power the 6-volt LED in there. Something as well that I haven't seen on other Wurkkos lights is this bezel design. So it's made of, looks like sandblasted or, yeah, I guess antiqued stainless steel. And you've got these ceramic glass breaking beads here as well, these 4 glass breaking beads, which do a much better job than just a normal stainless steel bezel or aluminium bezel even, which you see on some other tactical flashlights. Okay, so I'm going to go through the UI, just show you the general operation of this light. Now, in the UI, there are 2 groups that you can select. So there's an outdoor mode and there's also a tactical mode. And in order to switch between them, basically you turn on the light and then you press that switch on the back 4 times and it blinks twice. And you can see here it's switched over. I think it's over in the tactical mode. So if the light is off as well and you press the switch 4 times, what you do is it just basically locks the flashlight. I'm in the tactical mode. So basically 1 click from off always goes to turbo, something that I'm quite happy with. And from on, what you can do is you can press and hold that back button to cycle between medium and turbo. Okay, so good that you have a lower mode in there. You can double click for strobe, double click again for the SOS mode, and double click for beacon mode. Okay, and another thing you can do is you can press and hold from off in order to access a hidden moonlight mode here. So let's have a look at the outdoor mode. Just going to switch to that now. So in order to turn it on, just press the back button and it remembers the last mode that you were in. So when you press and hold, you basically cycle through 4 modes. So you've got eco, low, medium, high. Okay, so those 4 modes. At any point, you can double press the back switch for turbo. And if you double press again, it goes into moonlight. Triple click for strobe. Okay, triple click again for SOS and triple click again for beacon. I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests and this is the first one on turbo. And basically, as soon as you turn on the flashlight, it really starts to step down quite quickly on turbo. So you can see here pretty much at the half-minute mark, you're on about 2/3 of output and start going down again at around the 4-minute mark to about 1/3 of the output. Continued running the test. About at the 9-minute mark, you see another step down. So from 10 minutes onwards, you're about less than 1/4 output. I ran a second ceiling bounce test here on high, and you can see here the TS23 manages to hold output just before the 6-minute mark before stepping down to 60%. On the medium mode here, you can see it pretty much manages to hold that output for the duration of the test, which was around 30 minutes. So I ran a bunch of tests on my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and you can see on turbo, I got 456 meters of throw. And remember, these are figures based on switch on, but 456 meters is definitely quite impressive, even for a switch on figure. You can see on the high mode, managed to get 274 meters, medium 174 meters. CRI ranged from 73 to 79, so definitely more on the lower end. And yeah, it's not a light designed for color recognition. This LED is just a powerhouse and more for visibility. CCT was interesting and started off on eco at 5,800. And as you go through the different modes, it continues rising. On turbo, I measured 7,400. The TS23 has basically the best of both worlds in terms of the beam profile. You've got impressive throw plus tons of flood as well. I do like that large diffused hotspot. It's more practical than having a very focused hotspot, even though I do carry a lot of lights around like that. I think most people prefer something that's more diffused and practical. But yeah, you still get a decent amount of throw with this orange peel reflector. So some considerations you need to be aware of. Of course, I mentioned that this light has a larger head. You can see that for yourselves as well. It's not an EDC flashlight that I would choose. You know, it'd fit comfortably in a, you know, track pants, cargo pants, even a jacket pocket, but definitely not in your jeans pocket. Second consideration is that on turbo, it does step down quite quickly. I think Wurkkos could have pushed this light a bit further. So they've taken a more conservative approach here. And I guess the good news with that is that the heat is controlled well. So you can also reactivate turbo if you need to. The third consideration is that there is a slight delay in activation when you press the tail switch. It's not, you know, it's not too noticeable, but you know, as you can see here, there's just this very, very slight delay. I have noticed this on other E-switch flashlights. You know, not a deal breaker. And the fourth consideration, of course, is the tint. So Wurkkos, I believe, only offer this in this particular tint, so it's more on the cool end. So if you're a flashlight collector, maybe getting bored of your SST or SFT40 lights, maybe looking for something more powerful out there and it's not going to drain your wallet completely, the TS23 might be the flashlight for you. I think it's excellent value. It comes with everything you need in the box, even comes with a proper regulated boost driver as well, and produces more than twice the output of most SST40 lights. And I was happy that Wurkkos went with this tactical style UI, you know, one step shortcut to turbo. So it can also be used as a self-defense flashlight, especially with this crenulated bezel. So if you're interested in getting one, go ahead and check the link down in the description. I've got a special discount voucher there. If you have any questions as well, just leave them below in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor and click the like button. It's one of the few ways that YouTube recommends my videos. It doesn't cost you a cent. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest news, make sure you subscribe.
Wurkkos TS23, and this is on turbo. Absolutely amazing beam. I mean, it just lights up this entire golf course. This is with the XHP70.3 HI, so that means that it basically has a decently throwy beam compared to the normal XHP70.3. This is the de-domed version, and you know, you can actually swap between medium and turbo, as you can see. This is on the tactical mode. Okay, but yeah, turbo is super impressive. I'll swap over to the normal, not the normal, but the outdoor UI, just to show you the 4 modes. So eco, low, medium, high. That's the high mode there. And turbo. Just reveals all those trees down the back with ease. I mean, it's pretty kind of foggy night tonight anyway, but it's able to illuminate right to the end of that golf course. I'll go for a bit of a walk. Yep, just sort of swapping between the medium and the high mode at the moment. Medium is good enough really for most purposes. Even the low, I would say medium is almost too much at times if you know, walking up close like that. But I mean, that turbo is very impressive. It'll step down quite quickly though, and tends to lights with a powerful LED in it. Large LED like these, they tend to step down a bit earlier in order to make sure the light doesn't overheat. Yeah, even on the medium mode from here, I'm still managing to tint those trees with a bit of light. And turbo. Look, the hot spot is blending nicely into the spill because there's an orange peel reflector on here, but I always kind of wonder if it had a smooth reflector. It'd probably have a similar beam to the XHP, not the XHP, but the SFT70. So, but I know the smooth reflectors are not everyone's cup of tea. This does produce a much nicer looking, much more balanced looking beam at the sacrifice of some throw. And the head of the light's getting pretty warm now. I'd say it's getting hot at the base actually. So I'm gonna go keep it on for a little bit, but yeah, it's doing well considering how small this host is. Wurkkos TS23, and that is on the turbo mode, sorry, and I can swap in between medium and turbo. It just blows out the camera close by, all the white areas especially, but yeah, it looks pretty accurate as to how I'm seeing it in terms of the trees at the back. And just so much light coming out of this thing, tons of spill, and a very strong hotspot in the center as well, but diffused hotspot. You can see people walking down the street right at the end of this alleyway, and what I can do is just put it onto the other modes as well, so you can see, you know, eco, low, medium, high. Even that high mode is pretty good. Excellent range, and double press for that turbo again. I mean, that's just too much, but super bright.